Hi everybody, it's Stephanie and this is lesson 25 of the B2 course. So this is review number 5. As you know by now, every 5th lesson we have a review in order to consolidate all of the information we've looked at in the previous 4 lessons. We've done a lot in lessons 21 to 24. So in review lesson 5, we are going to review the grammar focus that we looked at, which is future perfect simple and future perfect continuous. And we're going to review phrasal verbs and expressions with take and phrasal verbs and expressions with bring. So we have lots to do in this lesson. Okay, let's start then with some vocabulary. And if you can cast your mind back to the lesson where we looked at take. Now, take is such a common verb in the English language, and we looked at different ways to use it as a phrasal verb and with various nouns as well. So in the first slide, we're going to have a look at 7 phrasal verbs. And I'm asking you if you can remember the synonym, the alternative verb that we could use. So can you remember alternatives to using the verb take? So basically what I'm asking is, what do these verbs mean? We have 7. 1, take back. 2, take off. 3, take part. 4, take place. 5, take care of. 6, take into account. And 7, take advantage of. So pause the slide and see if you can remember the alternatives to using the verb take here. What other verb could I use? Of course, if you want, you can go back and review the lesson with take, which was lesson 22. Okay, so let's refresh our minds with the answers. Take back, of course, means return. Take off, remove. Take part, participate. Take place, happen. Take care of, look after. Take into account, consider. And take advantage of, profit from. So well done if you managed to remember those synonyms there. Now what we're going to do is to practice them. So we've reviewed, we've refreshed what these phrasal verbs mean. Let's see if you can complete the 7 missing sentences, all with the phrasal verb take, but I have removed the preposition. So you need to put in the correct preposition. Let's have a look. So choose the missing word to complete the sentence. Number 1. We should take of the good weather to get outside and go for a run. Number 2. Would you be able to take of my dog while I'm on holiday? Number 3. The colour of the jumper did not suit me, so I decided to take it. Number 4. I hope the examiner will take my past performance into when they award the grades. Number 5. Please take your sunglasses when entering the church. Number 6. Lunch will take at 1 p.m. And number 7. It's a good idea to try and take in all the activities that the club has to offer. So what do you think? Remember, we're just looking for the preposition because the verb is take, but what's the correct preposition? Pause the slide and see if you can complete the 7 sentences. Okay, so let's have a look at the answers together. Number 1, we should take advantage of the good weather to go outside and go for a run. Remember, take advantage, to profit from. So you take advantage of a situation, you take the best from it. Number 2, Would you be able to take care of my dog while I'm on holiday? And remember, take care of, the synonym was another phrasal verb, look after. Number 3. The colour of the jumper did not suit me, so I decided to take it back. Here, remember, take back means return. Number 4. I hope the examiner will take my past performance into account when they consider the grades. To take something into account meaning to consider something. Number 5. Please take off your sunglasses when entering the church. Now, of course, there are different meanings of the phrasal verb take off, but in this context, it means remove. Take off your sunglasses. Number 6. Lunch will take place at 1 p.m. To take place meaning to happen. And number 7. It's a good idea to try and take part in all the activities that the club has to offer. To take part in meaning to participate. So that's 7 really useful phrasal verbs there using take. And remember, it's always a very good idea to look at the phrasal verb in context so that you have a very clear idea of how it is used and exactly what it means. But well done if you got those correct. Good. So the second verb we looked at was the verb bring. Again, a very common verb in the English language. And similar to take, we looked at phrasal verbs and expressions with bring, which is what we're going to review now. So I'm going to show you 6 phrasal verbs. And again, I'm asking you, can you think of a synonym? Can you think of a different verb that you might use instead of these phrasal verbs? So, can you remember the alternatives to using the verb bring? So basically, what do these verbs mean? Bring up, bring out, bring round, bring back, bring forward, and bring up again. Remember, we had 2 different meanings of the verb bring up. Can you remember what they mean? Pause the slide and see if you can write down your answers. Okay, what do we think? Let's have a look then. So, the first one, bring up, in the first context, meaning raise, but raising children. Number 2, bring out, meaning introduce. Number 3, bring round, persuade. Number 4, bring back, reintroduce. Number 5, bring forward, move to an earlier time. And 6, the second use of bring up was raise, but this time we were thinking about raising an issue. Well done if you remembered those. Okay, so again, 6 sentences using the phrasal verb bring. Again, I have removed the prepositions. So 6 verbs we've just talked about. So see if you can have a look at the sentence and complete with the correct preposition. Number 1. Some people think we should bring stricter rules in schools. Number 2. It's not easy bringing children whilst working full-time. Number 3. I have an unexpected conference call this morning. Can we bring the meeting? Number 4. I'd like to bring the issue of the staff car park. Number 5. The government is planning to bring new legislations regarding employment law. And number 6, it was challenging, but I managed to bring them to my point of view. So again, we're just looking for prepositions here. But remember, it's the preposition that changes the meaning of the verb bring. So that's the really key part. So pause the slide and see if you can write down the 6 correct phrasal verbs using bring. Okay, how did you find that? Let's have a look together. So choose the preposition. Number 1, some people think we should bring back. Remember, bring back means reintroduce. Number 2, it's not easy bringing up children whilst working full time. So to bring up a child means to raise the child. Number 3, I have an unexpected conference call this morning. Can we bring forward the meeting? Can we move the meeting to an earlier time? Number 4, I'd like to bring up the issue of the staff car park. So again, the second use of bring up, here meaning raise, but to raise an issue. Number 5, the government is planning to bring out new legislations regarding employment law. To bring out means to introduce. And number 6, it was challenging, but I managed to bring them round to my point of view. So to bring round meaning persuade. Well done if you managed to get those correct. Okay, we also had a look at some other uses of the verb bring. So what we're going to do now is see if you can make some sentences using the phrasal verb. So the first one we're going to look at is bring down. Let's have a look at the slide. So the picture gives you a clue as to what bring down means. We practiced this back in lesson 24, but can you remember? And can you make a sentence for me using bring down? So pause the slide and write down 1 or 2 or as many sentences as you like, but using the phrasal verb bring down. Okay, so my example. The government has promised to bring down taxes. Remember, bring down meaning reduce or lower. So your example should be using bring down to mean a reduction, to lower, to reduce something. Okay, we also talked about bring about. I've given you a picture as a clue, as a reminder to jog your memory. Can you remember what bring about means, and can you make me a sentence using bring about? So again, pause the slide and see if you can write down some sentences using bring about. Okay, so here's my example. The unusual weather conditions brought about several dramatic thunderstorms in the area. So bring about meaning cause to happen. If you're confused about this, go back and have a look at lesson 24 where we had further examples. Okay, and the third one we're going to look at today is bring along. So again, I've included a picture to remind you, to suggest what this verb means, but pause the slide and see if you can make a sentence using bring along. Okay, here's my example. You are invited to bring along family members to the picnic. So do you remember what bring along means? To bring along means to have somebody accompany you. So often used in the context of invitations or when people are invited to come to. Well done if you managed to write some sentences using those phrasal verbs. If you would like them to be checked, remember you can send them in to Perfectly Spoken. If you mark your email B2 lesson 25, then I will be able to check them for you. Okay, so the second part of this review is to review the grammar points we looked at, and remember the tense was future perfect. So we'll start with reviewing the future perfect simple. So Let's look at the diary of Mr. Green. Can you write 5 sentences for things Mr. Green will have done by the evening of the 30th? So let's imagine it's the beginning of the month. Mr. Green has the whole month ahead of him. I'm asking for 5 sentences using the construction will, have, and the past participle. So remember, this is how we form the future perfect simple. Will plus have and the past participle of the verb. Will have visited. Will have gone. Will have seen. So what I'd like you to do is to write me 5 sentences for things that Mr. Green will have done by the evening of the 30th. So pause the slide and write your 5 sentences. Okay, so there are lots of possibilities here, lots of different opportunities, but here are the 5 that I've chosen. He will have taken his annual leave. He will have met with Mr. Jones. He will have visited his customers. He will have attended a family dinner. And he will have written the monthly report. So remember, we're using the future perfect simple to talk about things that are finished at a time in the future. So we're looking ahead, that's why it's a future tense, but things that will be finished. So that was Mr. Green. What about you? What 5 things will you have done by the end of the week? See if you can pause the slide and write me 5 sentences using the same construction, will plus have and the past participle. So maybe you've got a quiet week, use your imagination. What I'm interested in is the construction of will plus have plus the past participle. So if you want to be dramatic, be imaginative, that's fine. It doesn't have to be true. Okay, so pause the slide and write 5 sentences for me. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 possibilities that you might have chosen. I will have gone to the gym. I will have watched a perfectly spoken lesson. I will have celebrated a friend's birthday. I will have drafted a report. And I will have eaten out with my family. So 5 options there, but note the construction, always will plus have and a past participle. So really it's a nice, easy tense to be able to use because all you need to remember is to use the correct past participle. Okay, so another use we talked about for the future perfect simple is to make predictions. So let's have a look at 3 pictures. What predictions can you make about these pictures? So 3 pictures. Think about them. Think about the future. What predictions can you make about these pictures? So again, pause the slide and see if you can write some sentences, will plus have and the past participle. Okay, let's have a look at some possible answers. So, travelling by air will have become faster and cheaper. Airlines will have designed planes that can carry more passengers. Flying will have become even safer than today. So well done if you got anything similar, but there's lots of opportunities, lots of different possibilities. The important thing is the construction here. Okay, our second slide. So here we have a very arid, very dry landscape. So my 3 sentences. Global temperatures will have increased. The world's water supply will have decreased. more countries will have experienced famine and drought. So, two interesting vocabulary here. Famine. Do we know what famine means? Famine means when there is a lack of food, but to an extreme level. So a famine is when a vast number of people do not have enough food to eat, which is causing illness and death. And drought, well, this picture illustrates drought perfectly, when there is a prolonged period of no rain. Okay, so three possibilities there. Okay, our next slide. Here were my three ideas. More governments will have brought in tighter laws concerning recycling. Note the phrasal verb, bring in, introduce. More packaging will have been designed to be recyclable. And more people will have been made aware of the impact humans can have on the environment. So again, as before, there were lots of opportunities there, lots of different possibilities you could have chosen, but they were just some ideas. Okay, you had a sneak preview there of the next slide, which is the final part of this review lesson, the future perfect continuous. Let's just refresh our memories as to how we form this tense. Including today, I will have been studying with Perfectly Spoken for 6 months. So future perfect continuous, will plus have plus been, and the verb in an ing form. Remember, this is a review lesson, so if you want to have a look in more detail, you will need to go back to the future perfect continuous lesson, which is lesson 23. Okay, so to practice, there are 5 sentences. They're all going to be in the future perfect continuous, but part of the construction is missing. So what you really need to remember is how it's formed. Let's just review that one more time. Will, have, been, and the ing form. Okay, so let's look then to finish at 5 sentences, and can you complete the missing word? Number 1, you will be tired this evening because you will been working non-stop all day. Number 2, at the end of the month, Mary and Sally have been travelling for 4 months. Number 3, this year, Nick will been learning to drive for 8 weeks. Number 4, Stuart will be exhausted tomorrow. He will have been all night. And number 5, in 10 minutes, I will have waiting for a whole hour. So in each sentence, a crucial part of the construction of the future perfect tense is missing. Pause the slide and see if you can fill in the missing gaps. Okay, are you ready to review your answers? Let's see then. So, number 1, you will be tired this evening because you will have been working non-stop all day. 2, at the end of the month, Mary and Sally will have been travelling for 4 months. Number 3, this year, Nick will have been learning to drive for 8 weeks. Number 4, Stuart will be exhausted tomorrow. He will have been flying all night. And number 5, in 10 minutes, I will have been waiting for a whole hour. Really well done if you managed to get those 5 sentences correct. Remember, this lesson is a review lesson, so if you have found any part of it difficult or you're not too sure, it's a really good opportunity to go back and to review the lesson, because the lesson looks at each topic in much more detail. So, for example, the lesson on the future perfect continuous will talk about the form, the meaning, the use. So this is meant as a review. If you'd like more practice, have a look back at the lesson. Plus, there is a test at the end of this one. So again, lots of opportunity to practice. Thank you very much for joining me for lesson 25. I hope you enjoyed it. I did, and I'm looking forward to seeing you for our next lesson, which will be another grammar lesson in lesson 26. See you then.